big narrative that we were hearing about your argument.
Well, it's not anymore, right? They changed it to the phone call. That was the initial narrative, which was a lie. That's a tactic of the left. Gaslight.
So let's do the context here.
Yeah.
You put out a video. You mentioned, look at these fees. It's, you know,
I never mentioned money outside of what I believe were immoral penalty fees. I never talked. You've never heard me say, "Hey, not enough money was offered." That's not what it's about.
So when we first were watching the show and we talked about it, I said, "What's the fee? We don't know." And then the Daily Wire's response, of course, was, "We offered this guy $50 million."
Basketball money.
Basketball money. The response then from detractors and most people was, "Holy crap!" And they're imagining Steven Crowder in a big private bank vault diving into a bunch of gold coins. When in reality, the $50 million included the entire budget for your whole staff, your whole production facility, every production you would have done, meaning you've got to pay, how many employees do you have?
About 25, soon to be 30 something.
Soon to be 30 something. Now, if you want to do production on a skit, we're talking maybe 30 to 50K, depending on the size of the skit.
Yeah. Every time we show up to do a change my mind, it's $50,000.
Millions
in legal each year, millions of dollars in equipment, payroll, millions of dollars in taxes. It's the merging of, what was that?
It's theft.
Yes, I completely agree.
But let me just say,
wheelhouse.
I'm on your side on this one. Everybody can know my bias. The reason that really bothered me is because I run a company. I know how much money we make. And there are people who assume that revenue equals money in your pocket profit. And it's like, no. If they're giving him $50 million, it sounds so wonderful.
They're assuming you're dumb. They're treating the audience like they're dumb. Again,
well, no. A lot of people don't understand this.
People don't understand because they're assuming that you won't go and do research. Look, $50 million basketball money versus $12 million. If let's say Marvel says, I don't know, the new Thor movie is $200 million. Is that Hemsworth's salary? It's that simple of an analogy. Yeah. But the issue here, and I'll let Gerald kind of talk about that more. The issue here is like, I think that these people at Daily Wire, they've said that they're very business savvy. They're running a business. So are they very business savvy? Are they dumb and don't know that $12.5 million a year for an entire production house is what we're actually looking at? Or are they lying when they say it's basketball money and $50 million salary? I think Candace Owens at one point got up to like 140 or something on this. I don't really.
So you said you wanted $30 million a year or 140
And the
million.
only reason people know that's not true, and you've seen the transcript, you ever see me once say, hey, it's about more money? There was never an offer sent after I said, look, it's a non-starter if you don't change these terms, and please tell me that you're not doing this with other people. There was never anything after that where it was, of course the non-starter is, I can't do 5 live reads because we do commercials.
I just want to ask one specific question because a lot of people are bringing this up and they're accusing you guys of only exposing them after they turned down your counteroffer. Is that true, or can you add more information to that?
Yeah, I don't know why they're saying the timeline that he kind of gave was completely inaccurate.
Yeah, there was never any counter offer from us. What Steven said was basically, look, guys, these are the terms that we have a problem with. Right. And if this, I don't care what the contract says dollar-wise. If these terms are in there, that's bad, and you need to start again. This has to be pulled out.
So there was no counteroffer, because I'm seeing a lot of you guys saying...
There was the agent, I think my agent, they sent this term sheet. The agent said, well, if you're talking about 100% ownership, by the way, in perpetuity forever, meaning, and it's a 6-year contract with no option to negotiate. They have an option to extend for 2 years. 6 years, locked in at that rate. And again, how do you penalize someone for money that they don't make? They're not going to lose money on you being demonetized. Now, I get that I'm a special situation, but they said this is demanded of everybody. The big con issue is something that I've been running up against, and everyone in this industry knows for many, many years. They just were arrogant enough to out themselves and to put it in writing and to say, we know how to run this business. We figured it out. You don't know what you're talking about. And, of course, after that, another last straw was, then going and trying to take our social media director, and I only showed you that email because he's willing for me to show you. Like, we have people poach all the time. When you have your ideas stolen and they put more money behind it, not just mine, when you build someone up and someone else comes in and says, hey, we'll offer you more money, they use them for 6 months and burn them out, I'm sure that's an accident. I'm sure the people at the top of Daily Wire didn't know when they reached out to someone who was not looking for a job, who loudly and proudly advertises himself as social media director for Louder with Crowder. But I could tell you that on that phone call, they said, we have an entire social media department. Right? I said, I have one guy, Gary, and he's awesome. A few days later.
I do want to dedicate more time.
Did Gary join Daily Wire?
Well,
no, they came in and tried to hire him.
I want to dedicate some more time to starting from the beginning of the context of that story. But I wanted to address something before Luke jumped in.
How dare you, Luke?
Yeah, how dare you, Luke?
Go to Florida.
No.
Go to Florida.
I'm sitting here.
That was a good question. I'm not saying I'm. I want to put a tack in this. And one of the big things we're hearing is a friend that you guys were friends, and the recording of the phone call and stuff. And I just thinking about the contract. 4-year contract with option to renew for 2, locking you in at that rate, 12.5, including the entirety of your staff. And it's just business. And I'm kind of like, I hear that. It's not something friends offer their friends.
No, is it boilerplate? We send this to everybody? Or is it a friend? You know what it costs to have a lawyer mark up a term sheet? It ends up being thousands of dollars, especially when it's like, hey, look, hit select all, delete. None of this makes sense. This isn't for someone who's been demonetized. But the problem, and that's when it came down to, well, you heard in that phone call, I said, take me out of it, right? This is not the right fit, period. I knew that. Please tell me that these are not the terms that are demanded. Penalties that you are monetized on YouTube, that you remain on Facebook, that you stay in. Please tell me these are not the terms that are demanded of everybody. And I said, those were the last words. And he said, yeah, maybe I'll take it under advisement. And then you go, okay, all right, this is where we are. There's no hope for the movement if we claim to be fighting big tech and we sell out the people who are paying us to do so and fighting on behalf of big tech. I'm sorry, it is something, it's wrong.
Earlier in the show, you mentioned that I think you mentioned this in the show that you were in Hollywood, you were doing the standard talent route, and then you decided to come out on YouTube as a conservative, and it basically cost you a lot. You lost your manager. You don't come off to me as a lot of Candace was on the show and she said he's doing it for money. It's so obvious. Why can't people see it? And I'm thinking about that and I'm like,
do you believe that?
No, I don't.
Well, they're accusing you of counter offering.
But I understand that. But the first thing I thought was, I'm like, Crowder's already rich. You know what I mean? Like, I understand people are looking at contracts and money.
Not really like you'd think. I mean, if they want to do personal tax returns and business tax returns and the charitable givings, we can do that.
This is
we can do that.
Again,
we can do it through a third party and seal them because I get private information. We can do that. Gerald will tell you.
This is again, people like why I care about the subject matter so much.
Yeah.
Running this business and making lots of money. I often say, for a guy like me, who growing up in Chicago and being close to the bottom of the totem pole as an American, which is great for the rest of the world. I mean, for the rest, America's awesome.
Right.
The poorest person is wealthy compared to everybody else.
Right.
But there's a certain point in terms of having things that I could have ever wanted, and it's a very, very low bar.
Right.
I'm making it once I got hired by Disney, the Disney Fusion, they're paying me $250K. I'm staring at money I have no idea what to do with.
Right.
Beyond that, I'm going to change the world. I'm going to do everything I can.
But this is the thing. The dialogue shifted to money, 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 money. You heard me say this is wrong, and then it's money, 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 just a business. And then it's this is wrong. Money, 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 this is just a business. Look, it's not just a business. And by the way, when you're talking about business, find out what motivates the people you're in business with. I'm not motivated by money. That's not what motivates me. If you look back at the track record in 2009, it was because I wanted to see the system burn, meaning as far as the system that kept conservatives in line. And I mean the liberal system, but then when you realize that it's on your own side, I'm not motivated by money. And by the way, don't leave someone with nothing to lose. The easiest situation is take the money, shut up. Second easiest is go bet on yourselves. You've seen the numbers that we've given you there. And guess what? You make more money, you shut up. The option of say no and say, look, this is wrong and speak out is significantly harder than any of the other paths.
The two things I want to say is, my point on the money was I view you in a similar way, that you're ideologically driven, that if you have the resources to do what you want to do and you're living comfortably and taking care of your family, beyond that, I don't see you as the kind of guy who's like, I don't have an infinity pool and 3 Ferraris in my garage. So when they say Crowder is just...
What's the infinity pool? Is that the
edge?
It's where the edge goes off, and so,
it looks like a horizon.
I have no idea.
That sounds nice. I mean, I wouldn't mind
into
one.
a sewer, that's
right, but the question is, if you had the choice between an infinity pool and a young, a talented personality who is going to help change the shape of this country for the better, I think you're going to choose to change the shape of this country for better. That's my view of you.
100%. I had to tell this guy that it was okay to buy a reasonably priced shotgun.
Yes,
I'm not kidding. True. This is not me like stating.
Well, he is Canadian.
We've been friends. We've been friends for a while. Steven can tell me at any point to go pound sand, right? So I'm not kissing up. It's just like he's like, guys, I want to buy this shotgun. And I'm thinking,
Benelli M4.
Benelli
M4.
Yeah, it's a good one. I got one.
Though, right?
I got
one.
Do
you have the H2 over?
I have the foldable stock.
Hey,
I want. Yeah.
Is it basketball money? Crazy expensive? No, it's not, right? And so
everyone in America deserves a shotgun.
A Benelli too.
A Benelli.
We went to it.
It was 2.5
We were in Texas together, and you were there when I bought it.
But we were at a shop out here. Luke said, "Hey, you should buy that. It's really great." I buy it, and then he goes, "I want it. I want it instead."
Was it a Benelli?
And then I was pissed off because I was like, I didn't think. I was like, I should have bought this. And then he bought it before me. And I'm like, wait.
So hold on. This is fun because this is.
We had a whole argument.
John was. By the way, how many people are watching right now?
150,000 ish.
158
on our channel. 158,000.
So what? What?
158. Is that a
158,000?
That's just on your channel. That's why we're still streaming on ours. Right?
I think second highest number we've ever done.
Okay.
Just on our YouTube alone. Did you want to say make a
no?
point?
So no, it wasn't really a point. It was the Benelli M4, right? So what happened is I really wanted. Well, they're not cheap, and I was like, you know what? I can't justify buying this. You can go buy it online. And so I was talking with Gerald and Johnny Boy, who you met, my Canadian friend. I said, okay, you know what? If I go into, because they're like unicorns, they sell out right away. I said, if I go into a gun store to pick up something up or something, and it happens to be there, that's God telling me He wants me to have a Benelli M4. And I went to go pick up some transfers from Walther, and lo and behold, I see one there, just came in, and it's the H2O version, the Cerakoted version. And I don't think you were with me, but Johnny Boy was. And I was like, you know, I still don't think I can justify it. He said, if you don't pay for it, I'm going to buy it. And of course, I knew that it would be far more expensive for him. So I bought it, but it took a long time. I'm not really motivated, but it is a nice shotgun, though, I will say. Yeah, occasionally, there are some things, if you're going to spend money on.
Oh, a tool. Any tool that you want to learn something with, like a guitar, too. You want to get a really good tool.
Yeah, or like knives. Like if I have, like, there's a huge, with steel and knives. Okay, sorry, Tim, I know, we're giving you.
Let's go. I love the Benelli stuff, because I got one.
I wanted to make
but I got to make a point about, you said in 2009, you were like, you realize that the liberal system is holding you back or something to the effect, and then you eventually realize it's on your side as well.
Yeah.
I look over to Luke, because Luke's the guy who's been screaming since 2006, like, the Republican machine is lying to you all the same. The powers that were being given to the intel agencies and the establishment will be used against you. Yeah. Here we are.
Well, here's the thing. You're absolutely right. And let's be honest, right? How can you change all that yourself? You're doing the best that you can, right? But there's only so much that you can do. The difference is right now, at this point, an inflection point in history, as it relates to right-wing conservative media, I can do something. I can't change the intelligence agencies. But you know what? When I ask Carrie Lake on the show, I say, would you disband the FBI? Yeah, I would. Boom. Gone. Suspended. I can do something about that. I can't change the CIA or the FBI. You're probably more effective with that than I am. I'm an entertainment guy. I was a guy telling jokes in clubs, having beer bottles thrown at me when I was 17 years old, voicing, you know, a black bear who was the best friend of an aardvark when I was 12, which is clearly derived from hallucinogenic drugs.
I love that show.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I had to do the Kwanzaa rep if ever you want to find something embarrassing for the Christmas episode. And that's when I was 13 years old. And I was like, oh, Kwanzaa. And I was like, let me look into this. I should, you know, Daniel Day-Lewis this. And then I realized, oh, it's bullshit. It's Ron Everett, and he beat them with fire hoses and soldering irons. And then I'm doing this song for Arthur. Hey, come together now, it's Kwanzaa time. And I wanted to.
Was the pay worth it?
Well, at that point, you know, I was under contract at 12 years old.
Right.
You know, so there's not much you can do.
I still remember we were called crazy truthers for calling this out as rationally as we did, saying, "Hey, the national security state is going to be turned around against you," and it has. But
no, you're right.
At that time specifically, we had a discourse that was kind of free and open. We didn't have algorithms. People were able to see important messages and videos and talking points and content creators. Now we're living in a different age. I wanted to kind of get your point of view. Some people say you have to keep pushing the Overton window. Some people say you got to keep playing ball. Mark Dice is also in the chat. He just is accusing Ben Shapiro of allegedly paying $135,000 to boost his Facebook posts. I don't know if that's true.
Well, who cares though? He can do that. The only issue I have is when that's used and it hurts people because sponsors drop out because they don't get their money's worth. Again, I could tell you that. But would those receipts be a betrayal? Because this industry fundamentally needs to change. People are investing in you and in us and in what you're saying. Right? If you can't say what it is that you're saying right now, let's say if you sent a contract that said, yeah, but you know what, we have a lot of buddies in those systems. You're selling out the people who are supporting you. And that's something that to me is unconscionable. And people can disagree with it, but no, I think you're absolutely right.
So what would be the total solution? I want to get into the problem solving. Like, what would you do if you were the Daily Wire?
Okay, so the only thing, and this is the thing, this is all done right now. I'm not saying that I have all the answers, but the first answer, and I've said we won't talk about this again. If someone takes a pledge alongside me, anyone in BigCon, just the only thing that I ask is that you do not punish conservative content creators on behalf of big tech. That's it. Start with that. Let's start with that. Before we get to everything else, right? So a lot of times people want the entire solution. Just start with that. You won't be penalized 25% if you're demonetized on YouTube by the people who are supposed to be fighting for you.
Now let's address the argument there.
Yeah.
The argument they've made is, why should we be the ones to lose money if you're removed from the platform and not making money?
And that sounds really great, right? It's a partnership. That's what they were talking about. They were trying to pick like a partnership and put it into contract form, or at least in this, you know, like a term sheet, right? Well, what it didn't take into account, honestly, is what if Steven, okay, it's $12.5 million. What if he's making them 30? What if he's making them $30 million
That's a starting point,
a year?
As a guarantee.
Yeah. What if he's making them $30 million a year, and all of a sudden, instead of making 30, you subtract 2 from that. So it's fine to share in these things when the expenses come up, but when the upside comes up, we're not really in a partnership anymore.
We would
so
be the
this
only
wasn't about money, guys.
We would be the only ones at risk.
It's disingenuous.
The only ones at risk. I'm already demonetized.
I can hear Jeremy being like, "It was a term sheet. I would have negotiated." I can hear him.
Well, look, I can write that I want to have sex with your wife on a term sheet. Oh, I thought you were going to redline it. Like, come on, that doesn't.
Okay, George just stands up. I had sex with your wife.
This is a good point. It penalized you. It's if you get banned, you lose X percent, and
no matter how much you're making,
45.
No matter how much you're making, and no matter how much you lose.
Yeah.
If you lose $0, they penalize you.
And the penalties add up to 110%. And they said in their own video, this is demanded of all creators, right? Does anyone disagree that that's what was said? This is what everyone signs. Now here's the issue with that. Again, you don't put it in if you don't want that.
The counterpoint, Candace said, is she negotiated. She hired a lawyer.
Yeah.
Steven Crowder has the resources to hire a lawyer and redline this.
Sure.
She put on her.
I thought we were good friends.
I figured out why Candace was so pissed last week
when
she came in.
Yeah,
I figured it out. I'll tell you about it in a second.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.